Welcome to the Missions Podcast, the show that explores your hard questions on missions, theology, and practice to help goers think, thinkers go. I'm Alex Kochman, Director of Advancement and Communications with ABWE, joined by Thad Bergmeier, Executive Director of EveryEthne, which is a ministry of ABWE focused on equipping the church in North America for mission. Is that right?
Absolutely.
And we're here in Louisville, Kentucky at Together for the Gospel.
Yep.
The final one.
The final word.
But this is not our final podcast recording, but we wanted to bring you in here on the morning of the second day, that's right, and have a conversation here soon. So just tell us real briefly about what EveryEthne is, what it does, and then we'll talk about our topic.
Yeah, we would just want to mobilize the church in North America to be on mission and to reach their own communities with the gospel. We want to pour back into local churches, serve them, help them accomplish the Great Commission locally so that they can do that globally.
You guys do some really cool stuff with demographic surveys and studies, helping a church know where the pockets of lostness and unreached people groups are within their community, understanding those different populations that might be mixed in that your church wouldn't normally see or normally reach. Come into your church, do an assessment of how missional is your church. So it's coaching, but it's so personalized, and it's using all that missionary expertise, right? Yeah,
I was just talking to a guy just a couple minutes ago who said, thank you for calling us once a month. Thank you for just being involved in our life. Yeah. He goes, I'm a part of this association and estate. And he goes, I don't hear anything from those guys. But for some reason you call us. I'm like, well, you guys make it easy. You guys are fun, to be around. And they're doing some incredible things and seeing progress, and they're making disciples and building leaders of their churches. They want to plant a church and they just have a great vision for those things. And so if we can serve them and help them and understand those things, it's really a joy for us, honestly, to be on mission with these churches, because we believe that the church is what Christ is building.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you are working on a lot of things with EveryEthne.
Yep.
One of them is a day of prayer coming up. Can you tell us about that? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, so it actually started a couple of years ago. We kind of just had this vision. I just kind of brought it to our team and hey, maybe we can create a movement of prayer for church planting in North America. Originally, we kind of did it for a week. We've done that for 2 years. This year we decided to say, let's get more laser focused on one day, maybe expand it globally so it's not just in North America, and say, if there's anything we can do to envision people to think beyond the walls of themselves, let's just start with asking them to pray. So pray for church planting. Pray for that God would raise up church planters, church plant teams. Pray that God would help us, really Christ to continue doing what he said he would do, build his church.
Yeah.
Right?
Now, why? Why pray for that? Obviously, we want to see churches planted in North America. That would be good.
Yeah.
But North America's got plenty of churches. There's lots of other stuff to do across the world. There's lots of other types of ministry other than church planting that's important, and church planting has been kind of a buzzword over the last couple of decades. Yeah. So why that laser focus on church planting?
You didn't say you'd ask hard questions.
No,
I'm just kidding. No, let's talk about North America, right? First is there's less churches per person now than there were 100 years ago. So we say there's too many churches. I mean, the world is population continues to increase, and churches continue to decrease. And so I was with one of our other guys, Claire Jewell, was telling the story of a guy in Austin, Texas, who had planted, I think crazy, 20 churches in 20 years. And he's like, man, how does it feel to be sick? He goes, I'm probably more depressed than I've ever been. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, well, from when we started planting churches, our vision was to make a dent in the darkness of our community. There's more lost people in Austin now than there was when we started planting churches.
Well.
So we need more churches. I mean, churches are new church plants is the quickest way to see people come to faith. Mostly because most church plants are really laser focused on evangelizing and taking the gospel to people who don't know and sharing the truth with them. And
that's a good point to bring up. Church plants, for whatever reason, just tend to evangelize more.
Yes.
And they tend to reach people that existing churches aren't. And that's not a slam against existing churches. And that's not saying that every church plant is automatically healthy and faithful. It takes a lot of guidance to do it correctly. but they just tend to reach more people.
Yeah.
And I think it was a 2019 survey from Lifeway that showed, 4,000 churches closing per year?
Yeah.
Now, that's pre-pandemic. I don't know what that looks like post-pandemic.
Yeah, I haven't seen the numbers on that. I mean, they're estimating maybe double that
Wow.
are closing every year, but I think we're going to find out in a couple years how impactful the pandemic has been in the church in North America. But then when you expand out globally, I mean, look, I think the heart of ABWE is church planting.
That's right.
Like, we want to help plant churches around the globe. And so we've said, hey, so this week of prayer that it was before, now it's kind of a day of prayer for North America. Let's expand that and say, let's leverage all of our missionaries, all of our teams. Let's pray for not just North America, but the world, that Christ would continue building his church among all peoples.
Yeah. And when we talk about unreached people groups, that's the definition of unreached, is that there's no Bible in their language, there's no churches in their language, there's no missionaries really to speak of in a particular language or context to reach those people.
Yeah.
So when we're talking about church planting, we are talking about missions.
Yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about something separate.
Yes.
How can people find out about the Day of Prayer? When is that happening?
So, so here's the Day of Pentecost, June 5th this year.
June 5th. Everyone should have that ingrained on their minds.
Yes,
right?
Day of Pentecost. We're like, what better time to spend a day praying for church planting than the day of the birth of the church? And so we're asking for churches, individuals to join us. You can go to dopray.church. Do pray, Day of Prayer. So
makes sense.
dopray.church, and you can sign up as a church. You can sign up as an individual, and you'll get a prayer guide sometime middle of May. That will help lead you through 6 kind of movements. Yeah. We're estimating it might take, 30 minutes to an hour that we would ask you to kind of walk through and journal and think through, just asking the Lord to continue building his church through new churches and new church planters and new church plant teams and resources and funding and all kinds of stuff like that. So there's kind of movement on that. So dopray.church is where you can get set up. And you can text as well. There's information on that website that you can just text in and get text updates and stuff.
Great. Awesome.
Leading into
and if people want to find out more about EveryEthne, they can go to EveryEthne.church.
EveryEthne.church. Yeah, and we're excited that this is not just an EveryEthne thing, and ABWE is a part just holistically. I know we've been working on this for a while, but so we're glad it's not just an EveryEthne thing. And we got some other partners you'll see on the website as well, trying to expand this out and get really my vision to say, Lord, let's create a movement of prayer. 10 years from now, it'd be great if people look back and go, hey, okay, we have the Day of Prayer for Persecuted Church. We have a Day of Prayer for church planting. Wouldn't that be great?
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
well, we believe in the vision. Thad, thanks for coming on today.
Awesome.
Grateful for EveryEthne, everything that you're doing. And we'll be here throughout the duration of the conference doing recordings, interviews, talking with some cool people about some cool stuff. So
awesome.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks again, Thad.
It's good.
Thanks for watching.